The story of David versus Goliath is a timeless narrative embedded in historical and cultural contexts, symbolizing the triumph of the underdog through courage and strategic thinking. Originating from the biblical tale in the Book of Samuel, it recounts how a young shepherd named David defeats Goliath, a giant Philistine warrior, not through physical strength but through clever strategy. This story has transcended its origins to become a metaphor in various fields, illustrating the potential for victory against daunting odds by leveraging intelligence, resourcefulness, and bravery. Understanding this historical and cultural background is crucial, as it provides the foundation for analyzing the broader theme of overcoming challenges. The significance of the David versus Goliath concept lies in its universal appeal and applicability. It highlights how perceived weaknesses can be transformed into strengths, and how underestimating an opponent due to superficial judgments can lead to surprising outcomes. This perspective is particularly relevant in business, sports, and social movements, where smaller entities face seemingly insurmountable challenges from larger, more powerful adversaries. For instance, in the business world, startups often confront industry giants. Companies like Netflix, initially a modest DVD rental service, successfully disrupted the entertainment industry with innovative strategies against much larger competitors like Blockbuster, which eventually declared bankruptcy. Similarly, in sports, the US hockey team's victory over the Soviet Union in the 1980 Winter Olympics, dubbed the Miracle on Ice, serves as a quintessential example of strategic planning and sheer determination overcoming superior raw power and resources. Many commentators support the notion that courage and strategic acumen are paramount in overcoming formidable challenges. Malcolm Gladwell's book, David and Goliath, posits that perceived disadvantages can force innovative tactics that giants may overlook or dismiss. However, some critiques argue that the romanticization of the David versus Goliath narrative can oversimplify complex power dynamics and may not always account for systemic inequities that underdogs face. Despite these challenges, the story's influence continues to resonate, encouraging underdogs to innovate and persevere. It underscores the vital role of strategic thinking and courage, steering the narrative beyond mere physical confrontation. This historical and cultural context enriches the understanding of courage and strategy as recurring themes, inspiring modern-day Davids to challenge their respective Goliaths effectively. In doing so, it not only connects to, but deeply influences broader discussions on confronting and conquering adversity. Certainly, the heading in question is David versus Goliath, Lessons in Courage and Strategy, which presents a captivating study of how courage and strategy can combine to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Simply put, this concept revolves around the idea that underdogs can triumph against giants through smart tactics and bravery. The story of David and Goliath, a timeless narrative from ancient scriptures, illustrates how a young shepherd armed with a simple sling defeated a mighty warrior. The significance of this lesson lies in its universal applicability across various domains of life, from business to personal challenges, teaching us that with the right approach, even the least likely can succeed. This concept resonates in the business world, where small startups often take on industry giants. A prime example is Netflix, which started as a small DVD rental service and eventually disrupted and surpassed Blockbuster, a once massive entertainment corporation, by embracing the untapped potential of streaming services. Another modern-day example is SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk, which revolutionized the aerospace industry, a sector dominated by traditional giants like NASA and Boeing, by employing innovative strategies like deploying reusable rockets to reduce costs. Opinions supporting this concept suggest that strategic thinking and bravery are essential skills that enable individuals and organizations to exploit opportunities that others might overlook. Industry leaders often extol the virtues of agility, innovation, and the willingness to take calculated risks, arguing that these qualities allow Davids in various fields to challenge Goliaths effectively. However, not everyone agrees. Skeptics argue that the emphasis on the underdog success story may undervalue the role of resource scarcity, suggesting that without sufficient resources, sheer courage and strategy might not be enough for significant achievements. Furthermore, this idea influences other aspects of strategy and leadership. It encourages a mindset of resilience and proactive problem-solving. Leaders inspired by this narrative often emphasize cultivating a culture that fosters creativity and values diverse perspectives. Conversely, this concept also faces potential challenges. In attempts to frame themselves as underdogs, organizations might underestimate the complexities involved in their competitive landscapes, sometimes leading to over-reliance on boldness, while sidelining the importance of resource accumulation and sustainable growth. Ultimately, David versus Goliath. Lessons in courage and strategy is not just about defeating giants. It's about understanding that strength isn't solely a product of size, but of adaptability and vision. A message that continues to inspire and shape strategic thought across various domains. The concept of the dynamics of underdog versus giant, analyzing power imbalances, refers to the inherent disparities in resources, influence, and capabilities between two entities, traditionally termed as the underdog and the giant. This dynamic highlights a situation where a significantly weaker party confronts a much stronger opponent. In the tale of David versus Goliath, this symbolizes how a seemingly trivial contender can overcome a formidable adversary through courage and strategic acumen. This topic is crucial as it underscores the potential for overcoming adversity by employing intelligence, creativity, and unconventional tactics, rather than relying solely on brute strength or established might. The significance of power imbalances in David versus Goliath scenarios is profound. It emphasizes the audacity and innovation often required when facing overwhelming odds. Many real-world situations mirror this dynamic, offering invaluable lessons in resilience and strategy. One prominent example is the rise of disruptive technology firms that challenge industry giants. Companies like Netflix, starting as an underdog in the rental industry, defied Blockbuster with an innovative model, reshaping entertainment consumption entirely. Similarly, in the realm of politics, leaders like Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated how non-violent resistance could paradoxically become a powerful force, leading to India's independence against the colonial might of Britain. Supporters of this concept argue that power imbalances foster innovation. Many believe that necessity drives the underdog to explore uncharted paths, paving the way for groundbreaking progress. However, the journey of the underdog is not without challenges and controversies. Critics might argue that the David versus Goliath narrative risks oversimplifying complex struggles, offering romanticized versions of unequal battles without adequately acknowledging the role of luck, timing, or external support. Furthermore, the focus on individual triumphs could overshadow systemic issues, perpetuating these imbalances. The dynamics of underdog versus giant interplay profoundly influence other aspects of courage and strategy by inspiring individuals and movements to challenge norms and take risks. They encourage an examination of the status quo and inspire proactive engagement against perceived injustices or inefficiencies. Understanding these dynamics fosters a deeper analysis of when and how to exploit advantages that aren't immediately evident. Thus, grasping the intricacies of these power imbalances not only enriches the narrative of courage embodied by David, but also enhances strategic thinking for tackling contemporary challenges. Imagine a scenario where a smaller, seemingly weaker individual takes on a much larger and more formidable opponent. The concept of David versus Goliath embodies this classic underdog story, illustrating themes of courage, ingenuity, and strategy in overcoming formidable challenges. In this tale, David, a young shepherd armed only with a sling and a few stones, defeats Goliath, a giant warrior clad in impressive armor. This story not only signifies the triumph of the underdog, but also highlights the significance of courage and innovative thinking in the face of overwhelming odds. The lesson of David versus Goliath is critically important as it serves as an allegory for real-life situations, where individuals, companies, or even nations confront much larger adversaries. This narrative highlights the significance of employing unconventional strategies and the courage to pursue them. It suggests that strengths such as agility, creativity, and precise targeting of weaknesses can outweigh brute force and size. Consider the business world, where startups often compete against established giants. One example is the rise of Netflix, a company that started as a DVD rental service and took on the colossal Blockbuster. Through innovative strategies like pivoting to streaming services, Netflix emerged victorious, demonstrating that agility and foresight can outmaneuver a behemoth dependent on traditional business models. Another example lies in the field of technology, where small, nimble cybersecurity firms effectively combat larger threats by employing cutting-edge techniques and rapid response times. While supporters of the David versus Goliath narrative emphasize its empowering message and encouragement for creative problem-solving, critics might argue that the story romanticizes risk-taking and could set unrealistic expectations. There is a potential pitfall in idolizing the underdog victory without acknowledging the numerous times when Goliath inevitably wins. Not every unconventional or bold tactic results in success, and the realities of external factors, like resource availability and market conditions, can heavily influence outcomes. Ultimately, the David versus Goliath narrative connects to broader themes of psychological resilience and strategic planning within its main topic. It underscores that understanding one's unique strengths and effectively leveraging them can compensate for apparent weaknesses. This concept encourages individuals and organizations to look beyond traditional metrics of strength and instead focus on exploiting asymmetrical advantages. As such, it influences the broader discourse on courage and strategy by highlighting that success can often come from unexpected places and, sometimes, a small shift in perception or tactics can lead to monumental victories.